If you smell what The Rock is cooking.
WBCB presents Pro Wrestling Weekly.
Tell me he didn't just say that.
Call in with a question or comment at 215-949-3232 or 888-922-2149.
The Tower of Power, too sweet to be sour, funky like a monkey, ooh yeah.
And now, here's your host of Pro Wrestling Weekly, Fearon.
It doesn't matter what your name is.
Really? Yeah!
Hello everyone and welcome to another edition of Pro Wrestling Weekly here on 1490 WBCB and online at WBCB1490.com. Fearon here with you, although not really. This is a pre-recorded episode. Over the course of the hour, you're going to hear some various clips of interviews that I've done over the last few years here at Pro Wrestling Weekly. Also, we'll look back at some of the more interesting news and notes. A lot of negative, scathing reviews for the development of the storylines coming out of the Over the Limit pay-per-view. I've got the results for that. We'll go over that at least in brief and then get your reactions to them next week on June 2nd when I'm back here on the air live. One of the bigger news stories that broke actually not too long after I started recording this, and actually some big news for WWE star Chris Jericho. This coming to us from TMZ. Chris Jericho indefinitely suspended by the WWE for denigrating the Brazilian flag. All right, what happened was Thursday night, WWE had a live event in Brazil, and the event came to a complete abrupt stop when local law enforcement, they pretty much went into the ring and then threatened to arrest Chris Jericho for desecrating the Brazilian flag. There was supposed to be a match between Chris Jericho and CM Punk. Punk was proudly waving the flag in the ring. Jericho took the flag away, crumpled it up, knocked the flag out of the ring, and that's when police stepped in and put a stop to the event. Jericho was informed that desecrating the national flag is a crime in Brazil, punishable by incarceration. That's right, he could have gone to jail for this. And according to folks from the WWE, cops gave Jericho an option, either apologize to the arena or go to jail. Chris Jericho, of course, choosing the former, grabbing the mic, telling the crowd he immediately regretted his actions, and then the police allowed the event to continue. And according to the folks at the WWE, the flag stunt was not planned or approved by WWE officials. So the official statement, courtesy of WWE.com, Chris Jericho has been suspended indefinitely due to an irresponsible act of denigrating the Brazilian flag at a WWE live event in Sao Paulo on May 24th. WWE has apologized to the citizens and the government of Brazil for this incident. So things not exactly going all that well for the Ayatollah of rock and roll. Ever since he's come back, just seems like first loss after loss after loss, and now an indefinite suspension. Hard to say how long this one's going to last, but we can certainly get your reactions to that next week, June 2nd, when I'm back on the air here on Pro Wrestling Weekly. Now, some of the interviews you're going to be hearing this hour, I'll admit they're a little cringeworthy on my part, and that's because some of them go all the way back to not too long after I took over here as the host for Pro Wrestling Weekly. We're going to go back to Cinemania 4, courtesy of George's Cards and Collectibles, for our first interview clip. And I barely had this gig for a month. I was as green could be, probably nervous as anything, getting to meet people who I grew up watching. And you can kind of tell that there was more of a fan in me than a broadcast journalist. And it's always an interesting balance whenever you have someone who you're really enthralled to talk to and you're curious to know a lot about, but at the same time, you're giddy as a fan because it's like, ooh, I grew up watching you on TV, and that's kind of a theme for a lot of my interviews, but we're going to go back April 25th, 2009, where I had the opportunity to interview former World Wrestling Federation superstar Gangrel. All right, 1490 WBCB, welcome back to Pro Wrestling Weekly. Fearon here with you from Cinemania here at Bucks County Technical High School. And I am privileged and honored to have the great Gangrel here with us. Gangrel, welcome to the show.
Oh, thanks for having me, man. What's going on?
A whole lot here from what I can see. Autographs all over the place. I've seen lines for you, lines for your buddy Scotty Too Hotty over here, all kinds of names here. And I'm honored to be able to get a few of them here. So what's been going on with you since we've last seen you on TV?
Oh man, I'm touring Europe a lot. I've been overseas working in France, Italy, Spain, Germany, England. So I'm over in the UK constantly, and I just opened a wrestling school with Rikishi and Black Pearl and Orlando Jordan in California, Burbank, Knox Pro Wrestling there Academy. So you can check that out at knoxpro.com.
Okay, that's good to know, because I know that we do have, since we're also on the internet worldwide, I know I do have a few listeners in California, including one in particular who's in his teens and might be looking to join up with a wrestling thing, so I'll have to keep that in mind.
Cool, it's right there in the Burbank area. We're doing it. We're fanging and banging 24/7. It's not just an attitude, it's a lifestyle, man. Make it work. Come on.
I hear that. So what do you think here of the East Coast, since you have that West Coast hanging and banging style there?
Fanging and banging started in the East Coast. I'm a South Florida boy. I ran up and down from here to New York, Philly. No. It's all about the East Coast. My woman got me on the West Coast.
Well, they tend to do that, don't they?
Yeah, they do.
Excellent. So what have you been? Well, we've seen what you've been up to as far as the tours there. Any plans on getting back into the mainstream here in the U.S., either WWE or TNA?
No, I haven't planned on it, but I mean, the thought crosses the mind once in a while, but I think I got to get in a little bit better shape. But my age is starting to creep up there now. I'm going on 22 years in the business, so 22 years, that starts to tell you my age right there. So, I don't know. The thoughts here and there. I see all these guys, and then I wonder, well, maybe I should stick with what I'm doing, But who knows? You never really know. Something might hit the golden ticket one day again. I don't know.
22 years. I mean, I guess it does tend to add up a little bit. I mean, I remember your Federation heyday in the late 90s with the Brood and everything.
You got to remember, it was not Dean Malenko, but Dean Malenko's father that trained me. So Boris Malenko, before Dean ever had a school, it was his father, So it's been, September will be 22 years. Wow.
Have you had a chance? I know that Dean's on the other side of the cafeteria here, where all the autographs are going. Have you had a chance to talk to him at all?
Oh, yes, I did. And then I went over and said hello to my good friend Hugh Morris, Bill DeMont. I've seen a lot of guys from the past. I've known the Nasty Boy since I was 17 years old. Ron Simmons since I was 17. Because I started out, a lot of people don't know, I started out like Georgia Championship Wrestling, Florida Championship Wrestling. I used to just go out there and just raise my hand up. There was no music, and then get slaughtered by like 5 minutes, So I've been around for a while. I know all these guys. So it's kind of like a pretty cool, like, family reunion in a way, It's like more fun than work, But it's good all in out there. Come see the fans. I was really surprised at the amount of people that lined up and, were here to support the whole thing and remember the Gangrel character. It was flattering, and it was a great deal. I mean, it felt good. It felt really good. It's good for me to be here. It was good for my ego, good for my confidence. Now when I leave here, one of the South Philly fans will spit on me. Woo! But the boost for me. But, I love Philly. Big props to Philly and the area, and this area, too. It's all good. The whole Philadelphia area.
Absolutely. Where was I going with this? Well, you'd mentioned working in the territories. I mean, what kind of changes in the overall business have you seen between when you had started and then the business today?
Wow, there's been a lot of changes, starting with gimmicks, and I'm probably guilty of that one too, coming up through a ring of fire wearing vampire teeth and spraying blood. But now I don't understand wrestling so much. It's kind of like, looks like cookie cutter kind of. Everybody kind of looks the same. Everybody has tattoos. Everybody's got the short hair. But I don't know. I think wrestling's going to come back around. Everything goes in cycles. Whether I'll be around to see that cycle come full circle or not, I don't know. But I'm personally like the wrestling in the 80s. And then I like the era I was in, the Attitude Era in WWE, that kicked it up a notch when they had the wars with Monday Night Nitro and stuff. That was when I really enjoyed it. And maybe I'm being biased because I was a part of that era, but it was good times, man. It was good times.
I have to agree with you there. I mean, growing up, that's exactly like the Attitude Era. That was my teenage and high school years, and so I'm certainly with you on that. And you were definitely a part of it. How do you feel about Edge now being in the title picture? Your old Brood running mate there.
I'm proud of them all. I'm proud of even Christian, and the Hardys, and they're good kids, and they deserved everything they got, And I knew right from when I was hired originally under a contract with WWF at the time. They said we're gonna push Edge, man. We're gonna strap a rocket to his rear end and watch him go. And I was hoping he could fulfill it, and he did. So I'm proud of him to be hanging in there, hanging and banging, and doing whatever he's doing, man.
Absolutely, and. Well, even though this will air after Backlash tomorrow, do you think he's going to be the last man standing come, tomorrow night in this case at Backlash?
I haven't followed anything, man, so I don't, no, don't throw me under the bus. I haven't followed anything. I've been teaching, I got at the school, and I'm overseas all the time, so I've been really, really busy. But now I'm going to have to start watching because you put me on the spot here.
That's all right. I'll edit that. I'll edit that part
I did
out.
watch a little bit of WrestleMania up to the Taker match, and then I had to turn it off.
Well, yeah, after the Taker match, I think everybody was kind of reeling at that point. But no, Edge is challenging John Cena for the World Heavyweight title in a last man standing match.
Yeah, well, my money's on Edge.
Somehow I had a feeling that was going to be your pick, but that's more than...
It'd be really nice if I saw Christian slide back into the picture. Maybe they reunited. That'd be cool. But I don't know what's going on there. Hard to say what these angles in the writing, you know. It'd be even nice if we saw Vampire there, you know. But you never know.
Well, Christian, just to give you a heads up as well, Christian's going to be challenging Jack Swagger for the ECW heavyweight title tomorrow night.
See, I didn't even know Jack was brought up. Last time I saw him was in OVW like 3 years ago. Awesome. Good for him. Good for Jack.
Yeah, Jack's the current ECW champion, has been for a few months now.
Boy or something. I mean, he used to wear the singlet wrestling like old school, yeah.
Yeah, he still has that. He still has the old school singlet look, which, you know, hey, I'm a fan of as well. You know, got to kick it old school. The Steiner brothers did it. You know, Rick even went so far as the headgear.
The only thing new is what's been forgotten, my man. That's what it goes back to the cycles. Goes back to the cycles.
And that's why we try to keep it alive both here at Sinomania as well as on our station here with Pro Wrestling Weekly.
Well, thank you for having me on your show, man. I appreciate it.
Gangrel, it's been an absolute pleasure. Thank you for taking a few minutes to spend here with me.
No problem. Good luck with everything. Peace. All right.
To think it was 3 years ago, my voice so much higher than it is now. Life does some crazy things when it comes to your voice. I felt like I had a Peter Brady thing going on back then, but things are a little bit better now. It was probably nerves back then as well. And speaking of nerves, well, here's someone who I'm thankful he was giving me the chance to talk to him, considering how nervous he had made me, because he's a lot bigger than I am. 6'8", 500 pounds. Got the chance to talk this past September at Sinomania 7 to Nelson Frazier, who you might better know as either Mabel, Viscera, or most recently in the WWE, Big Daddy V. When he was wrestling in WWE CW. He was able to give me a few minutes and some interesting answers, including one as far as his favorite match that I thought was rather intriguing. Check it out. 1490 WBCB, welcome back to Pro Wrestling Weekly. Fearon here at Sinomania 7 with, well, some might know him as King Mabel or Mabel, some might know him as Viscera, others might know him as Big Daddy V. Either way, Nelson Frazier, welcome to the program.
Glad to be here. Glad to be here.
A couple of quick questions for you. Well, obviously I mentioned a couple of different gimmicks, characters that you had over the years. Which of those was your favorite?
The world's largest love machine, Viscera. I got to kiss those beautiful women and got paid good money to do it. I would have paid them to do that job. That was the greatest.
Definitely can't say. Can you run off a list of some of those for those who don't remember?
Trish Stratus, Lillian Garcia, Candice Michelle, Maria. I mean, you can go down the list, man. The Love Machine had them all, and they were all great.
Can't say I'd argue with that. Absolutely. Wow. And you also had a lot of notable matches, a few title runs throughout your career. Is there any particular match that you had that you liked more than any other?
Yeah, to be the second person to ever to pin The Undertaker on a pay-per-view at the King of the Ring 95, that was awesome. So, and I think that upset the world. So, you know, that's got to be, I think, my biggest victory ever. I mean, because The Undertaker's like unbeatable now, you know, and he was even more unbeatable when I beat him. So I'm happy with that.
I actually remember that. I was in attendance for that at the Spectrum back in June of 95. That takes me back to my childhood days a little bit there.
You must be the one that threw that trash in my face. Are you the one? I've been looking for that guy.
I don't have that kind of an arm. Now, I was way up in the nosebleed seats there. If I had that kind of arm, I wouldn't be doing radio. I'd be in the NFL or something like that.
When you find out who did it, you let me know. I'm going to kick his ass.
Absolutely will. All right, looks like we're just about wrapping up here at Sinomania. I want to thank you so much for your time. Greatly appreciate it, Nelson. Absolutely.
All right, I just want to send a shout-out to all the fans in the Philadelphia area. You guys are the greatest.
Thank you much. There you have it, Nelson Frazier, Big Daddy V, Mabel, Viscera, whatever you want to know him as. Certainly giving some interesting opinions, showing a little love to Philadelphia. Of course, going back to that 1995 King of the Ring, of course, from June 25th, 1995. As I said in the interview, I remember it well. I didn't want to tell him that while in those nosebleed sections of the Spectrum that at the ripe young age of 13, I was actually there dressed as The Undertaker because I was a huge Undertaker fan back then. The day before, I had met The Undertaker and Paul Bearer at the the old 94th Air Squadron over on, well, that's what it was back then, over on Red Lion Road. I think it became Flat Spin for a little while, if I remember right, and I don't even know what it is necessarily now, but of course over there in the Northeast, got the chance to meet them, but I didn't want to tell Mabel all that because I definitely did not want to get on his bad side, but definitely a shocking upset for the fans in attendance, Mabel upsetting The Undertaker in the quarterfinals of the King of the Ring tournament back in 95. His most memorable win, at least in his mind, his favorite win, his favorite match from the interview. Anyway, we're going to take care of a little bit of business. When we come back, we're going to hear a little bit from former ECW referee John Finnegan. I had the chance to talk with him for the whole hour, but one particular clip kind of jumped out at me, so we'll come back with that. Also, we'll look back to WWE Hall of Famer Ron Simmons. He got inducted this year, but I had the chance to talk with him 3 years ago. We'll also talk with another Hall of Famer, Tony Atlas. All that and more here on Pro Wrestling Weekly on 1490 WBCB and online at WBCB1490.com.